Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, everybody. So on this glorious appearance day of Lord Nityananda Ram, which is falling on the 13th of February, which is Nitya Trayodasi. It's interesting, it's all lined up today. We are going to be reading, mostly, from various sources, beginning with Srila Prabhupada's commentary on this Nityananda Sushitala song, which I think some of you may be familiar with. It's a very nice song, and Prabhupada gives a wonderful commentary. But sorry, a little spaced out here. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to, instead of singing it, we just read the English and then excerpts from his commentary. So this song is called the Manak Shiksha, Teachings to the Mind, from Prarthana by Narottam Das Thakur. And it begins, Nittai Pada Kamala Koti Chanda Shitala, his famous song. And Prabhupada gives a translation. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha and Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha and Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Text 2. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his valuable human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrollable animal. Because he never uttered the holy name of Nityananda, he has become merged into so-called material happiness. What can his useless education and family tradition do to help him? Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, oh, what is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he is accepting something false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. In the final verse in the song, the lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion, they are fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottam Das is very unhappy. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close to your lotus feet. So I'll just read some excerpts from this explanation Prabhupada gave. This is a very nice song sung by Narottam Das Thakur. He advises Nittai Pada, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of moons. We can just imagine the aggregate total value of the soothing shine of millions of moons. In this material world, which is progressing toward hell, there is always a blazing fire, and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. If one actually wants relief from the struggle of existence and actually wants to extinguish the blazing fire of material pangs, Narottam Das Thakur advises, please take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Then he says, Say sambandha nahi, say sambandha nahi. Sambandha means connection or contact. Anyone who has not contacted a relationship with Nityananda is understood to have spoiled his human birth. In another song also, Narottam Das says, Hari Hari Vibale Janma Gonaini. Now, this is Prabhupada's favorite song. He sung it many times. There's some very wonderful recordings of it. Anyone who does not approach Radha Krishna through a relationship with Nityananda has uselessly spoiled his life. Anyone who does not make a relationship with Nityananda is simply spoiling the boon of life. Why? Without elevation to Krishna consciousness through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, life is simply spoiled in the animal propensities of sense gratification. Narottam Das says that ordinary animals can be tamed, but when a human being is animalistic, having only animal propensities, he is most horrible, for he cannot be tamed. So what are people in general doing? Since they do not know who Nityananda is, they never say the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. They become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment. They don't care who Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are, and therefore they go deep down into material existence. Regardless of whether one is born in a very big family or nation or has a very advanced academic education, at the time of death, nature's law will act and his work will be finished and we'll get another body to that work. So then at last, Narottam Das Thakur then says, if you actually want to approach Radha Krishna, you must achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha and Krishna. Okay, I'm going to go to the main reading, which is, if we can hopefully get through it, 2 chapters, just the translations from the Chaitanya Bhagavat describing the glories of Nityananda, and number 2 is the story of Jagai and Madhai, which is most pertinent for us and most critical to understand. So this is the verse that I couldn't locate quick enough to have it on the board, so we'll just chant it. This is a famous verse. It appears twice in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, describing Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda together. Some of you may know. Ajan hulambita bujo kanakava dato sankirtanayaka pitaro kamalaya taksho vishvambaro drijavaro yugadharma palo Vande Jagat Piyakaro Karunavataro. Anyone who wants to learn this verse is perfect for glorifying Gaura Nitai on the altar. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden yellow complexions, and who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of the living entities, the best of the Brahmins, the protectors of religious principles for this age, the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. So this is, I think, okay. Okay, so this is the chapter I wanted. All glories to Mahaprabhu, Shri Gaura Sundar, all glories to Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. So this is Madhya, this is Madhya 13. So I wanted to read Madhya 12, which is a very short chapter first, if you'll allow me. Okay. And this is entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda. All glories to Vishvambar, the Lord of all Vaishnavas. O Lord, please bestow your devotional service on the living entities and deliver them. In this way, Lord Nityananda, Lord Vishvambar enjoyed various pastimes in Navadvip. So the previous chapter described some of their pastimes, and now we're going to hear more of them. Lord Nityananda was fully absorbed in transcendental ecstatic love for Krishna. Yet he constantly behaved like a young boy. Nityananda spoke sweetly with everyone he saw. He engaged in dancing, singing, playing musical instruments, and laughing. Sometimes he roared loudly out of his own ecstasy. Hearing his roar, everyone became struck with wonder. During the rainy season, the waves of the Ganges were full of crocodiles, yet Nityananda fearlessly floated in those waters. On seeing him floating, the people became frightened and exclaimed, "Hi, hi," which means, "Alas, alas." But Nityananda smiled and continued to float in the Ganges. And of course, he was the super soul of all the crocodiles, so they didn't bother him. They were just cavorting with him. Nityananda floated in the Ganges in the mood of Ananta. Not understanding his glories, everyone lamented, "Alas, alas." So just 30 seconds on. We understand, hopefully, that Lord Nityananda is not different from Balaram. Just as Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, Nityananda is Balaram. And he is the actual source of the Shakti for the Guru. So Nityananda is the original Guru. And so unless we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, we really can't perform devotional service. So it's very important for us to understand who he is. And if you want to understand more of his relationship with the creation, read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's chapter 5 has the longest purport, and I think in all of Prabhupada's books, certainly in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all about his relationship to the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. This is just his Leela in Navadvip. Okay. Sometimes he lost consciousness due to ecstatic love and did not regain consciousness even after 3 or 4 days. In this way, Nityananda performed many other inconceivable pastimes. I could not describe them all, even if I possessed unlimited mouths. By providence, one day Nityananda came before Lord Chaitanya while he was sitting at home. In the mood of a child, Nityananda had no clothes on. He constantly smiled and tears of love flowed from his lotus eyes. Lord Nityananda roared loudly and repeatedly proclaimed, "Nimai Pandit of Nadi is my Lord!" Upon seeing Nityananda without any clothes on, the Lord laughed. The beautiful body of Nityananda was full of effulgence. The Lord hurriedly took off the cloth from his own head and put it on Nityananda, who simply laughed. Thereafter, the Lord smeared sandalwood paste on Nityananda's transcendental body and offered him a flower garland. The Lord offered Nityananda an asana to sit in front of him. Then the Lord offered prayers while all the devotees attentively listened. Your name is Nityananda, and your form is Nityananda. Nityananda means eternally blissful. Full of eternal bliss. You are directly Lord Balarama. Your traveling, eating, and dealings are all full of eternal bliss. There is never any diminution in your enjoyment of eternal bliss. How can human beings understand you? It is a fact that you are present wherever Krishna is. Close quote. The most magnanimous Nityananda is absorbed in ecstatic love for Lord Chaitanya. So whatever he speaks or does is always approved by the Lord. The Lord said, "Give me a piece of your kopin. I have a great desire to have it." After speaking in this way, the Lord took Nityananda's kopin and tore it into many small pieces. The Lord then personally distributed those little pieces to every one of the Vaishnavas. The Lord said, "Tie this piece of cloth on your head." What to speak of others? Even the greatest mystic yogis desire this. Simply by the mercy of Nityananda, one obtains devotional service of Vishnu. Know it for certain that Nityananda is the full potency of Krishna. Nityananda is the second manifestation of Krishna. He serves the Lord as his companion, friend, bed, ornaments, well-wisher, and brother. Sound familiar? That's the way you describe Balarama. That's why we ask, don't lean against the wall, which everyone understands, because this whole temple is an expansion of Balarama. Then I was thinking when we had that, what about the floor? Well, we have to walk on the floor. So out of the mercy of Lord Balarama, we were able to touch his body in that way. We should know everything in this temple and this whole compound is an expansion of Balarama. So therefore, it should be dealt with great reverence and care. Yes, please. This is text 27 of Madhikanda 12. Okay, I just read 27, 28. The characteristics of Nityananda are incomprehensible to the Vedas. He is the origin, protector, and friend of all living entities. His dealings are full of transcendental mellows for Krishna. Just by serving him, one obtains devotional service in love of Krishna. All glory to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained Sri Radha Govinda. Tie the piece of this kopin on your head with devotion. Go home and worship it with great care. Being ordered by the Lord, all the devotees respectfully tie those pieces of his kopin on their heads. The Lord said, "Listen, devotees, drink the water that has washed the feet of Nityananda." Now listen to the effect of this water. It's amazing. As soon as one drinks that water, one will develop fixed devotional service to Krishna. There's no doubt about it. Being ordered by the Lord, all the devotees immediately washed the feet of Nityananda with water and drank it. Some of the devotees drank 5 times, and some drank 10 times. Nityananda laughed constantly and did not know what was going on. Sitting where he was, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, in great jubilation, personally distributed the water that had washed the feet of Nityananda. After drinking the water from Nityananda's feet, everyone became intoxicated and loudly chanted the name of Hari. Someone said, "Today my life has become successful." Someone else said, "Today my material bondage is vanquished." Someone else said, "Today I've become a servant of Krishna." Someone else said, "Today is the most auspicious day for me." Another, "This water is so tasty that I still feel sweetness in my mouth." What wonderful influence the water that washed the feet of Nityananda has, for just by drinking that water, everyone became agitated. Now, just a little note. I mean, we regularly take the Charanamrita, right? Well, what is that Charanamrita? It's bathed all the deities, including that of Nityananda. So be aware of that next time you do it. But be careful, don't just fall over if you're going to, going to ecstasy, then arrange for, anyway. After drinking that water, someone danced, someone sang, another one rolled on the ground, others roared loudly all the time. A tumultuous, ecstatic kirtan was begun, and all the devotees were completely overwhelmed as they danced. Soon Lord Chaitanya roared loudly and began to dance profusely. Nityananda Sarup immediately got up and joined the Lord, and both lords danced in the midst of the devotees. No one knew who fell upon whom, who caught whom, and who took whose foot dust on their heads. What quite a scene. Huh? One cannot describe who cried by holding whose neck or who did what. The devotees did not fear that they were with the Lord. Both the Lord and his servants danced together. Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya embraced each other and danced in ecstasy. The earth shook by the weight of Nityananda's steps. Seeing his dancing, all the devotees chanted, Hare, Hare! Being intoxicated with ecstasy, the two lords of Vaikuntha danced in the company of their devoted followers. Although the Vedas describe their appearance and disappearance, there is never an end to their pastimes. After dancing in this way for the entire day, Gaurahari sat down with his associates. Clapping his hands 3 times, Sri Gaurasundar frankly spoke to everyone as follows. Anyone who keeps faith and engages in the service of this Nityananda Sarup actually keeps faith and serves me. His lotus feet are worshipped by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Therefore all of you show love to him. If a person maintains even a tinge of envy toward him, then he is not dear to me, even if he is a devotee. Now one note here. Sankirtan, both distributing books and through chanting the holy name and other means, is the best way of serving Lord Nityananda. He is the prime preacher of Lord Chaitanya in Bengal especially. There's a whole pastime, huge chapter. He just goes on and on for 600 verses in the Anchakanda. I read this whole, anyways, I read the whole thing once to one devotee as we're driving back from St. Augustine and to Alatra. And he didn't want to leave Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. But Lord Chaitanya ordered him, I can't go. My mother ordered me to stay here. So you have to preach in Bengal. So he took his group and his amazing pastimes. There was so much ecstasy as they went from Puri. First of all, they lost completely track of where they were. He had a whole group of his intimate associates that going, and they would go here and go there. They go miles out of the way. Which way to Mayapur? Said, oh, you're way off the road. Go back to this. And they would go and they would come to a spot and they would go stay for a month, and everyone's chanting. The children, what to speak of the adults, were uprooting big trees. They became so empowered. It's in this Chaitanya Bhagavat. Amazing. Anyway, there's many pastimes. We don't have time to go through all of them. Lord said, anyone who keeps faith and engages in the service of this Nityananda Sarup actually keeps faith and serves me. His lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma and Shiva. Therefore, all of you show love for him. If a person maintains even a tinge of envy toward him, then he's not dear to me. Krishna will never leave that person who is touched by the air that has passed by Nityananda's body. That is just, a breeze has come by. After hearing the Lord's words, all the devotees immediately chanted, Jai, Jai! Lord Gaurachandra becomes the master of one who hears these topics with devotion. Those who saw these pastimes of Nityananda Sarup know his glories in truth. Only Lord Chaitanya's most fortunate associates know the unlimited influence of Lord Nityananda. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. So that's the end of that chapter. Now, I'm going to try to get through it. This is a critical chapter describing the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai, which we should all identify with. We're all in that category. So he begins with that verse I chanted at first, and he says, all glories to Mahaprabhu Sri Gaurasundar, all glories to Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. In this way, Lord Vishwambara performed pastimes in Navadvip and that were not seen by everyone. Ordinary people saw him like before, simply as Nimai Pandit. They could not see anything of his characteristics beyond this. So after he went to Gaya and he came back, he manifested all of his Sankirtan pastimes. So that was, before that he was a pandit, and the devotees would come in and say, if only you would be a devotee, you would be the greatest devotee. And he smiled and said, by your grace I'll become a devotee. When the Lord entered the association of his servants, he floated in happiness. He would reveal himself to each devotee in proportion to the devotee's good fortune. When he left their association, he would conceal himself. One day, the Lord suddenly ordered Nityananda and Haridas as follows. Listen, Nityananda, listen, Haridas. Go out and preach my order everywhere. And what is that order? Go to every house and beg in this way. Chant the names of Krishna. Worship Krishna, follow Krishna's instructions. This is a famous line. Bola Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Kara Krishna Shika. I put it into a little poem. Just chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions and to others them impart. That is still the life and soul of this Hare Krishna movement. Okay. There's a long explanation of that. By the way, this book is available. I can send it to you. Just write me an email. It's a whole PDF of the entire Chaitanya Bhagavat with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary, which is right vast and very, very erudite and wonderful. Apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. I will take up my chakra and cut off the heads of those who will not chant after being requested by you. Well, I'm glad we're all chanting Hare Krishna here, right? On hearing the order, all the Vaishnavas laughed. Who has the power to transgress his order? His order is such that even Nityananda carries it on his head. Anyone who does not believe this is not very intelligent. If one serves Advaita but does not accept Chaitanya, then Advaita will destroy him without remorse. Accepting the Lord's order on their heads, Nityananda and Haridas smiled and immediately went out on the street. Being ordered by the Lord, the two went door to door and requested everyone. Bolo Krishna, but then they changed it. Gao Krishna, Bhajaha Krishnera. Being ordered by the Lord, the two went door to door and requested everyone, chant the name of Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, and engage in the worship of Krishna. Krishna is your life. Krishna is your wealth. Krishna is your very life and soul. Oh brothers, chant the name of that Krishna with full attention. In this way, the two controllers of the universe went to every house as they wandered through Nadia. Now, why are they controllers of the universe? Because Haridas Thakur is understood to be Lord Brahma, and Lord Chaitanya is Balaram. So in this way, but they of course disguised that. They came as beggars. Both were dressed as sannyasis. At every house they went, they were eagerly invited to take their meal. Nityananda and Haridas would then say, our only request is that you chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow the teachings of Krishna. After speaking in this way, the two departed. Those who were pious became most pleased. Hearing the unprecedented words from the mouths of those two, various people found varieties of pleasure while discussing various related topics. Some happily said, we will do, we will do. Others said, these two are crazy because of bad advice. You have become mad on account of bad association. Why have you come to make us mad? So this is Nadia at that time. There were all kinds of, it was a center of learning. And there were many who were just logicians and they really weren't devotees, so at first. Many sober and civilized persons have become mad in this way. Nimai Pandit has spoiled them all. As soon as the two went to the houses of those who were not allowed to see Lord Chaitanya's dancing, those people said, beat them, beat them. So this is where Lord Chaitanya would be dancing and chanting in Srivas Thakur's house with his devotees, but he didn't want any non-devotees to come in there. So some smarter Brahmin was trying to get in, and he couldn't get in, and he cursed Lord Chaitanya, you'll never have any material happiness. He said, thank you so much, But it was exclusive until the whole thing broke out, when they started breaking the drums because of these complainers. And then Lord said, civil disobedience. Everyone came out, hundreds of thousands came out, the story. Then he went to the Qazi's house after that, just because no one shall stop the Sankirtan in Navadvip anymore. As soon as the two went to the houses of those who were not allowed to see Lord Chaitanya's dance, beat them, beat them. Someone said, perhaps these two are the spies of a thief. They are wandering door to door on the pretext of preaching, reconnoitering and checking out. So they can, why would a sujana act in this way, a great person? If they come again, we will take them to the king. Upon hearing such talk, Nityananda and Haridas laughed. On the strength of Lord Chaitanya's order, they were not frightened. In this way, the two daily wandered from door to door and then reported to Vishrambar at the end of the day. One day, they saw two drunkards on the street. The two were fully intoxicated and acted like great rogues. This is Jagai and Madhai. There were unlimited stories about the two, for there was no sin that they had not committed. Although they had been born Brahmins, they were always engaged in drinking wine, eating beef, plundering others' wealth, and burning others' homes. They avoided royal punishment and the notices of the town authorities. They did not pass a day without wine and meat. The two would roll on the street. They would punch anyone who they met. As people watched these incidents from a distance, Nityananda and Haridas arrived there. Sometimes the two displayed affection for each other, and sometimes they pulled each other's hair while cursing. Sometimes they ruined the caste of the Brahmins of Nadia, and sometimes under the influence of wine they would speak solacing words to someone. Every type of sin became manifest in the bodies of those two, except the sin of blaspheming Vaishnavas. This they avoided. They happily spent their days and nights in the company of the other drunkards. Therefore, they had no opportunity to blaspheme the Vaishnavas. This was their salvation. The assembly in which Vaishnavas are blasphemed will be ruined, even if all other religious principles are observed. If an assembly of sannyasis indulges in blasphemy, then that assembly is more sinful than an assembly of drunkards. A drunkard will be delivered in due course of time, but one who engages in blasphemy will never attain the goal of life. Even after studying the scriptures, many persons lose their intelligence and bring about their utter ruin by blaspheming Nityananda. The two punched and abused each other as Nityananda and Haridas watched from a distance. Nityananda personally asked some people, "To which caste do these two belong? Why do they act like that?" The people replied, "These two are Brahmins. Their virtuous father and mother both come from respectable families. Their ancestors have all lived in Nadia and were all free from the slightest fault. These two qualified persons gave up their religiosity and have been engaged in such sinful activities since birth. Considering that they were most sinful, their relatives rejected them. Now they freely wander about with other drunkards. When the residents of Nadia see these two, they fear that the two may someday burn their house. There's no sin that these two have not committed. They plunder, steal, drink wine, eat meat." After hearing this, the kind-hearted Nityananda mercifully contemplated how to deliver the two. The Lord has incarnated to deliver the sinful. Where will he find such sinners as these? And then there's a whole, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wrote this huge commentary in this verse, all the different kinds of sins that are listed in Manosamhita and everything, which they all did. They did all of them. The Lord secretly manifests himself. People who do not see his influence make fun of him. If the Lord bestows his mercy on these two, then the whole world will know his glories. If I can reveal Lord Chaitanya to them, then I, Nityananda, will be known as Lord Chaitanya's servant. Now they're fully intoxicated and don't know themselves. If only they could become intoxicated like this under the influence of Krishna's names. If the two cry as they say, "Oh my Lord," then my wandering will be successful. If persons who previously took bath in the Ganges with their clothes on, when they touch the shadow of these two, consider themselves as purified as having taken bath in the Ganges by seeing them, then my name will be remembered. The glories of Nityananda Prabhu are unlimited. He has incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. After contemplating in this way, the Lord said to Haridas, "O Haridas, look at their miserable condition. Although they're Brahmins, their behavior is most abominable. These two will not be able to avoid the punishment of Yamaraj. When you were beaten practically to death by the Yavanas, you thought about even their welfare. If you think about the welfare of these two, then they will certainly be delivered. The Lord never neglects to fulfill your desire. This truth was personally disclosed by the Lord. Let the entire world see Lord Chaitanya's influence when he delivered these two. Just as the Puranas sing about the deliverance of Ajamil, now let the three worlds directly see such pastimes." Now, this is such a critical section of this chapter, because by Lord Nityananda's desire, Lord Chaitanya delivered them, and they're representatives of all the population, including us in this age. And so the whole prediction that Lord Chaitanya that my name will be chanted all over the world, this is all part of it, Nityananda's desire to deliver these. Haridas knew well the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore he could understand that the two were already delivered. Haridas said, "Listen, O Mahashaya, great soul, your desire is certainly the Lord's desire. You deceive me just as one deceives an animal, and in this way you repeatedly teach me." Lord Nityananda smiled and embraced Haridas. He then softly spoke as follows, "Let's go and inform these two drunkards of the Lord's order that we are carrying around. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Goro Krishna Sikhe." You can imagine how they reacted. You'll read it here in a minute. The Lord's order is for everyone to worship Krishna, but this is especially meant for the most sinful. Our responsibility is to simply repeat the Lord's order. If people do not follow, that is his responsibility. Then Nityananda and Haridas went to inform the two of the Lord's order. Saintly people prohibit him, saying, "Don't go near them. If they catch you, you will lose your lives. We hide inside the house and tremble. How can you dare to approach them?" Those two have no respect for sannyasis. They have killed unlimited Brahmins and cows. Nevertheless, the two Prabhus chanted the name of Krishna and joyfully went before the two. They came only close enough to be heard and then loudly informed them of the Lord's order. Bolo Krishna, Bodo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha. Say Krishna, worship Krishna, chant names of Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is your life and wealth. Krishna is incarnated for your benefit. Therefore, give up all sinful activities and worship Krishna. Remind you, it's like Prahlad speaking to his father. But the result is much more dramatic. On hearing their call, the two turned their heads, and their eyes became red with anger. After lifting their heads and seeing the forms of the sannyasis, the two ran toward them, shouting, "Catch them! Catch them!" Nityananda and Haridas quickly ran away as the two rogues chased them, shouting, "Stop! Stop!" Abusing them with harsh words, they chased behind the two Prabhus, who ran away out of fear. People said, "We warned them before. Now those two sannyasis are in danger." All the atheists smiled and thought, Lord Narayan has given proper punishment to those impostors. The pious Brahmin said, "Save them, Krishna, save them." They then left that place in fear. The two rogues chased behind as the two lords ran away. Two lords, Lord Brahma and Lord Balarama. Although the rogues declared that they caught them, they were unable. Nityananda said, "We thought it would be good to turn them into Vaishnava, but we will be lucky if we survive today." Haridas said, "Oh Lord, what can I say? Today I will die prematurely because of your ideas. Because you've tried to give Krishna's instructions to drunkards, we have received proper punishment, almost losing our lives." Speaking in this way, the two lords laughed as they ran away. The two rogues chased after them while shouting abusive words. The two drunkards had fat bodies, and they could hardly walk, what to speak of run. Yet somehow they ran swiftly. The two rogues said, "Oh brothers, where will you go? How will you escape Jagai and Madhai today? You don't know that Jagai and Madhai live here. Wait a moment and see who's behind you." Hearing their words, the two lords ran in fear as they called out, "Save us, Krishna! Save us, Krishna! Hey, Govinda!" Haridas said, "I cannot go further. Why did I knowingly come with this restless person? Krishna just saved me from the wrath of the Yavanas, and now today I will lose my life due to your mischievous nature." Nityananda said, "I'm not a restless person. Think carefully. It is your Lord who is agitated. Although he is a Brahmin, he gives orders like a king. On his instructions we preach door to door. He gives orders that we have never heard before, and as a result people call us thieves and hypocrites. If we disobey his order, we'll be ruined, and if we follow his order, this is the result. You do not admit your Lord's fault. Although we both spoke to them, you accuse me of being at fault." In this way, the two Prabhus engaged in blissful quarrels as they watched the two rogues chasing them become confused. They ran towards the Lord's house while the two rogues rolled on the ground, intoxicated by wine. Unable to see the two Prabhus, the drunkards gave up the chase and eventually began to push and shove each other. Being intoxicated by wine, the two could not remember a thing about where they were before and where they were now. After a while, the two Prabhus looked back and could not see where the two rogues had gone. The two felt pacified and embraced each other. They laughed and then went to see Vishrambar. The lotus-eyed Lord was sitting. The limbs of his body were so beautiful that his form bewildered even Cupid. He was surrounded by the Vaishnavas who were discussing topics of Krishna among themselves. The Lord joyfully discussed his own glories in that assembly, just as the Lord of Shvetadvip did in the association of sages headed by Sanaka. At that time, Nityananda and Haridas came before the Lord and reported to him what had happened that day. "Today we've seen two strange persons. They were great drunkards, yet they called themselves Brahmins. We nicely requested them to chant the names of Krishna. In response, they chased us, yet we fortunately survived." The Lord said, "Who are these two? What are their names? Why would Brahmins engage in such activities?" Gangadas and Srivas, who were sitting before the Lord, began to relate the sinful activities of these two. "O Lord, the names of those two are Jagai and Madhai. They are the sons of a pious Brahmin, and they were born here. Due to bad association, they've developed such mentality. They have been attached to drinking wine since their birth. Everyone in Nadia is afraid of them. There is no house that they have not plundered. There is no limit to their sinful activities, O Lord. You know and see everything." The Lord said, "I know those two fellows. If they come here, I will cut them to pieces." Nityananda said, "You may cut them to pieces, but I will not go out as long as they are there. Why do you brag so much? First get these two to chant the name of Govinda." Nityananda said to Lord Chaitanya. A pious person naturally chants the name of Krishna, but these two do not know anything other than sinful activities. If you deliver these two by awarding them devotional service, then I will know that you are Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. The deliverance of these two will certainly be more glorious than the deliverance of me. Vishwambara smiled and replied, "They were delivered the moment they got your darshan." You are so concerned for their benefit that Krishna will soon arrange for their well-being. Upon hearing these words from the lotus mouth of the Lord, all the devotees chanted, "Jai, Jai, Hari, Hari." They were all convinced that the two were already delivered. Haridas then went before Advaita and spoke. "The Lord sends me with this restless person. He leaves me behind, and who knows where he goes. During the rainy season, there are many crocodiles in the Ganges, and he goes swimming in the waters to catch them. In great anxiety, I call him loudly from the riverbank, but he continually floats around in the waters of the Ganges. If he sees some boys, he comes out of the water and chases them to beat them. When their parents come with sticks in their hands, I fall at their feet and send them back. He steals butter and yogurt from the coward men and flees, and they catch me and want to beat me. Whatever he does is unreasonable. When he sees an unmarried girl, he tells her, 'Marry me.' He rides on the back of an ox and declares that he is Mahesh. He takes milk from the other's cows and drinks it. When I try to teach him something, he abuses me and says, 'What can your Advaita do to me?' And Sri Chaitanya, whom you consider the Lord, what can he do to me? I have not said anything about this to the Lord, but today my life has been saved by providence. There were two great drunkards lying in the street, and he went before them to preach Krishna's instructions. In great anger they rushed to kill us. It is your mercy that our lives have been saved." Advaita smiled and said, "This is not at all astonishing, for drunkards should associate with other drunkards. It is befitting that the three drunkards were together. But, being a celibate, why were you there? Nityananda will make everyone, sorry, my foot. Nityananda will make everyone intoxicated. I know his character very well. Just wait and see. Within 2 or 3 days, he will bring those two drunkards into our assembly." While speaking in this way, Advaita became overwhelmed with anger. Without any clothing on, he spoke with great emphasis. "Everyone will hear about Lord Chaitanya's devotional service to Krishna, and they will see his potency, how he dances and chants. You will see tomorrow how Nimai and Nitai will bring those two drunkards and dance with them. They will make the two equal to us, and we will have to run away to save our caste." Upon seeing Advaita's angry mood, Haridas smiled. He was convinced that the drunkards would be delivered. Who has the power to understand Advaita's words? Only Haridas Prabhu can understand him. Many sinful people take the side of Advaita and criticize Gadadhar. They will be burned to death. Any sinful person who takes the side of one Vaishnava and blasphemes another Vaishnava is certainly ruined. As the two drunkards wandered from place to place, they came to the bathing ghat where the Lord would take his bath in the Ganges. By divine arrangement, they made that place their base from which they would go out to raid various places. Whether influential, rich, or poor, all people's hearts became filled with fear. No one went to take bath in the Ganges at night, and if they did, they were in groups of 10 or 20. They stayed near the Lord's house and listened to the Lord's kirtan as they remained awake throughout the night. Being intoxicated with wine, they joyfully danced as they listened to the sound of the kartals and madangas in the kirtan. As they could hear everything from that distance, they would listen, dance, and then drink more wine. Whenever there was kirtan, the two would stay there. When they heard the kirtan, they would get up and dance. They were so overwhelmed by drinking wine that they didn't remember where they had been or where they were. When they saw the Lord, they said, "Only my Pandit, you should sing the entire song of Mangala Chandi." This is a song to Durga. "You have expert singers who we wish to see. We will bring and give you whatever you want." Seeing those miscreants, the Lord kept a distance. Others took another path and fled away. After wandering throughout the city one day, Nityananda went that night before the two. Jagai and Madhai shouted, "Who are you? Who are you?" Nityananda replied, "I'm going to the Lord's house." Intoxicated by wine, they said, "What is your name?" Nityananda, "My name is Avadut." Intoxicated in the mood of a child, Lord Nityananda spoke to the drunkards as his pastime. He had already decided, "I will deliver these two." That is why he came there that night. Upon hearing the name Avaduta, Madhai became angry. He picked up a clay pot and hit the Lord's head. The broken clay pot cut the Lord's head and blood flowed from the wound, yet Lord Nityananda simply remembered Govinda. Upon seeing the blood, Jagai felt compassionate. Jagai felt compassionate and grabbed the hand of Madhai when he prepared to strike the Lord again. Why did you do that? You're very cruel. What will you gain by beating an outsider? Leave Avadhuta alone. Do not beat him again. What will you gain by beating a sannyasi? So he's delivered by that. Some people quickly went and informed Lord Chaitanya, who immediately came there with his associates. The entire body of Nityananda was covered with blood, yet Nityananda smiled as he stood there between the two. When the Lord saw the blood, he lost external consciousness out of anger and repeatedly called out, "Chakra, chakra, chakra!" The Sudarshan chakra immediately appeared there and was seen by Jagai and Madhai. All the Lord's devotees became bewildered, but Nityananda immediately appealed to the Lord as follows. When Madhai hit me, Jagai saved me. By providence, blood came out, yet I felt no pain. O Lord, give me these two in charity. Please be pacified, for I feel no pain. On hearing the words, Jagai protected me, the Lord became happy and embraced Jagai. He said to Jagai, may Krishna bestow mercy on you. By protecting Nityananda, you have purchased me. Ask me for any benediction you desire. May you attain pure devotional service from this day on. Upon hearing the benediction awarded to Jagai, all the Vaishnavas chanted, Jai, Jai, Hari, Hari. As soon as the Lord said, may you attain pure devotional service, Jagai immediately lost consciousness due to ecstatic love. The Lord said, oh, Jagai, get up and see me. I have indeed awarded you pure devotional service. Jagai saw Vishwambara having 4 arms and holding conch, disc, club, and lotus. Seeing this, Jagai fell unconscious on the ground. Lord Chaitanya then placed his lotus foot on Jagai's chest. Receiving the treasure of the Lord's lotus feet, which are the life and soul of Lakshmi, Jagai held them tightly as if they were invaluable jewels. The fortunate Jagai shed tears as he held the Lord's feet. Such are the wonderful pastimes of Lord Gauranga. Jagai and Madhai were like one soul with 2 bodies, yet here one was pious and one was sinful. When the Lord bestowed mercy on Jagai, the heart of Madhai was immediately rectified. He quickly released Nityananda's cloth, fell flat, and held the Lord's lotus feet. O Lord, we both committed sinful activities together. Why do you divide us when bestowing your mercy? Bestow your mercy on me so I can chant your name. There's no one to deliver me other than you. The Lord replied, I do not foresee your deliverance, for you have drawn blood from the body of Nityananda. Madhai said, you cannot say this. Why are you forsaking your duty? Why did you award your lotus feet to the demons that pierced your body with arrows? The Lord replied, your offense is greater than theirs, because you have drawn blood from the body of Nityananda. The body of Nityananda is superior to mine. I emphatically tell you this truth. O Lord, if you are telling me the truth, then tell me, how will I be delivered? You destroy all disease, for you are the crest jewel of all physicians. If you treat me, then I will be cured. O Lord of the universe, please don't deceive me. Now that you are known, how will you hide? The Lord said, you have committed a grave offense. Go and grab hold of Nityananda's lotus feet. Being ordered by the Lord, Madhai then caught hold of the invaluable treasure of Nittai's lotus feet. By taking refuge of those feet, one is never vanquished. Revati knows well the glories of those feet. Vishwambara said, listen, Nityananda, now that he has fallen at your lotus feet, it is proper for you to show him mercy. Since he has made you bleed, only you can forgive him, and now he has fallen at your feet. Nityananda replied, O Lord, what can I say? You have the potency to bestow mercy even through a tree. I'm not sure what that refers to. Okay, I declare emphatically that if I have ever accumulated piety in any lifetime, I give it all to Madhai. He is relieved of any offense committed against me. Do not bewilder him. Bestow mercy on your Madhai. Vishwambara said, if you have actually forgiven Madhai, then embrace him and make his life successful. Upon the order of the Lord, Nityananda tightly embraced Madhai, who as a result was freed from all material bondage. Nityananda entered the body of Madhai, and Madhai became filled with all energies. In this way, the two were delivered, and they began to offer prayers at the lotus feet of the 2 lords. The Lord said, do not commit further sins. Jagai and Madhai replied, never again, O Lord. The Lord said, listen, both of you. I have indeed delivered you today. I take full responsibility for whatever sinful activities you have performed in your previous millions of lifetimes, provided you do not commit sin again. I will eat through your mouths, the mouths of you 2, and I will incarnate in your bodies. Upon hearing the Lord's words, Jagai and Madhai fell unconscious in ecstasy. The illusion of the 2 Brahmans was thus destroyed, and they merged in an ocean of ecstasy. Knowing this, Lord Vishwambara instructed them as follows. Pick these two up and bring them to my house. Today we will perform kirtan with these two. Today I will award them that which is rare for even Lord Brahma. I will place them in the topmost position in this world. Those who took bath in the Ganges after being touched by these two will now say that these two are equal to the Ganges. The determination of Nityananda is never baffled. Know for certain that this was the desire of Lord Nityananda. Thereafter, all the Vaishnavas caught hold of Jagai and Madhai and took them inside to the Lord's house. Okay, this goes on. I wanted to leave a little time for this Nityananda Ashtaka that I was going to do before. Okay. So there's more here, but this is the essence of the pastime. And Prabhupada often said that the whole world is filled with Jagais and Madhais. And our job is to follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and to try our best to deliver them. And we ourselves, we're in that category. And they became, Lord Chaitanya said, they are Mahabhagavats now. And so no one should think of them in their past form as offensive, that they're completely purified. So this is the power of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya to purify anyone, provided we surrender and take to the process. Hare Krishna. So if you'll give me 1 second, I'm just going to go back here and maybe we can take the Vyasasan away. And all right, so this is Sri Nityananda by the same author, Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is a disciple also. Sadachandra Brantim Spudalamalakhantim Gajakatim Hare Premon Mattam Jatapadamasattvam Smitumukham Sada Gunan Netram Kadakadita Vetram Kalibadam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajanata Dukhandan Nedabadi. Beside the splendor of his golden form and smiling face, the splendor of the autumn moon appears most commonplace. Because he's mad with love of God, though he's God in disguise, he walks just like a drunken elephant and rolls his eyes. The coward's rod he carries is his weapon to destroy whatever ills and evils wicked Kali can deploy. Oh, friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. Now that, the last one you can repeat. Oh, friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. Hey Rasanama Gadam Swajanagana Sarvasumatulam Tadiaika Prana Pramadavasuda Janavapatim Sada Premon Madam Padmavadita Mandamanasam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajanatatukandam Nidavadi. Unequaled in his love for Krishna, he is a vast abode of transcendental mellows only God has ever showed. For all his devotees he's everything, and for his wives, Sri Vasudha and Janava, he is their very lives. Since love for Krishna makes him mad, his actions may seem odd, and so the foolish fail to see that he himself is God. Oh, friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. Shachi Sunu Preshtam Nikavita Gadishtam Sukumayam Kalamanjan Jivo Dananakadano Damakadunam Hare Rakyanadva Bhavajalati Gavo Natiharam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajanatatukandam Nidavadi. Most dear to Shachi's son, he is a reservoir of bliss. Throughout the universe, he's worshipped with great happiness. Impelled by deep compassion when he sees the state they're in, he saves the people sinking fast in Kali's sea of sin by teaching them to chant the holy name with every breath, thus crushing the conceit of Durga's sea of birth and death. All friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free. Just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tea. Hai bratra nrinam kalikalushanam kinna bhavita. Tata prayashchittam rachyadanaya sitahime. Vajanti tvamitam saha bhagavata mantriyatiyo. Bhaje Nityanandam bhajanat tukandam nidavadi. He said, "Oh brother, Kali is now ascendant everywhere, increasing people's suffering. It's more than I can bear. Please give these fallen souls an easy process to attain the shelter of your lotus feet, the place beyond all pain. Instruct them all to chant Sri Krishna's name," the Lord replied, "to worship him with love and by his teachings to abide." Oh friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. E yatishtam re brata kudu hodi hodi dwana manisham. And tato baksang saram buddhitananadayo mihilagit. Hidam bahus potay atativatayang yak pratigaham. Bhaje Nityanandam bhajanata dukandam nidavadi. Oh friends, please chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly, and also teach this process to your friends and family. Thus cross the sea of birth and death and be supremely blessed. Your liberation is the only alms that I request. Entreating thus to save the people from illusion's thrall, with arms upraised he went to every home throughout Bengal. Oh friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. Hey Bolad Sangsarambo Nidahadanakumbo Dabamaho. Satam Shreyak Sindhu Natikumada Bandhum Samuditam. Kala Shreni Spuditamanahara Pabamaham. Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajanatatukandam Nidavadi. A new Agastya Muni, with great force he drinks the sea of birth and death, how loving and compassionate. For all his devotees, he is the best of rising moons, expanding wide the ocean full of transcendental boons. And for the many demons filling people's hearts with dread, he is the sun dispelling all the darkness that they spread. Oh friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti. Natantam gayantam hadamana vadantam patipati. Vajantam pashiyantam samapinadayantam janaganam. Bhagovantam santam sakaduna jagantam pakalanad. Bhaje Nityanandam bhajanattukandam nidavadi. He wandered every path in Bengal. He wandered every path in Bengal, chanting Hari Bol. His dancing and his singing, bringing joy to every soul. He put aside his own concerns to spread the holy name, thus mercifully fulfilling Sri Chaitanya's preaching aim. On seeing saintly devotees, he felt great happiness, and with his mercy-laden glance, he filled their hearts with bliss. All friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the Bhakti tree. Hey subibranam bratu kadasadasajam ko malatadam. Hey mito bhaktra loko chadatapadamanan vidiyam. Brahmantam madhurya ahamadayantam purujanan. Bhaje Nityanandam bhajanattukandam nidavadi. He gently took his brother's soft and graceful lotus hand, and as he looked upon his face, he felt his bliss expand. Chaitanya felt the same way as he looked upon the face of Nityananda, and he held him in a firm embrace. And then they started dancing through the streets of all the towns, their beauty filling every heart with joy that knew no bounds. All friends entrapped, Kali's clutches, yearning to break free. Just worship Nityananda around the root of the Bhakti tree. Hey Rasana Madhanam, Rasika for the sudden Vaishnavadanam. Hey Rasagaram Sadam Patitatitaram Smadanatak. Padam Nityanandashtakamidnam Apurvam Patatiya. And Tadak Vandrabjam Spudatuna Tashavidiye. Sorry, in the voice. For Nityananda's devotees who relish mellow sweet, this poem is a precious nectar reservoir replete with endless waves and whirlpools of the sweetest, deepest love, beyond what even gods and goddesses are dreaming of. It has the power to deliver any fallen soul and place him at Sri Nityananda's feet, our final goal. May those who read these transcendental verses I impart forever see his lovely lotus feet within their heart. All friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda around the root of the Bhakti tree. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Uh-oh. So now we should all get ready for the greeting, which will take place in 2 minutes. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu.